Okay, 7th graders, this is a video for this week. We're kind of going to review graphing linear equations as we move forward. So I want you to copy down what's on these pages and solve the problems that I'm asking of you. Okay, on this slide you can see that there are 4 colored lines, and your job is to determine the equation of each of these lines. And I'd like you to write the equation of each line in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to do one for you. I'm going to do the red line for you. And so what we have to do is we have to look at this line and we have to figure out what it's going to be in slope-intercept form. So remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And so in order to make this an accurate equation, we have to fill in the value for b and the value for m. There's a few ways we can do this. So let's start with our slope. So I can calculate slope by simply counting rise over run. So this line is going in a positive direction. So I know that my m is going to be a positive number, and it's rise over run. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, 2. So this slope is really 4 over 2. And 4 over 2 simplifies to 2 over 1, or a solid 2. Okay, so we know our slope is 2. So now, in order to determine the b, I can either use my slope and figure out where this red line is going to cross on the y-axis, or I can plug a value in. So first I'm going to do it with graphing and see if we come up with a perfect number. And then I'm going to show you how to do it with plugging the numbers in. So my slope is 4 over 2, or 2 over 1. Okay, and so I'm going to keep my line going by making additional dots or points on this line. So I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and over 1. And there's my next point. And now I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and over 1. And here's my next point. And now I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, and over 1. And I can see that I've hit my y-axis. Well, where is that? Let's count. That's at -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So my b is a -5. So if I want to write this equation of this line, I have to plug in my m and my b. So y is equal to 2x minus 5. And now I've plugged in my slope of 2 and my b of -5. And so that's the equation of the red line. Now I'm going to show you how you do it using math in case you don't want to graph it, or in case it doesn't cross at a perfect point. Okay, so you take your equation, y equals mx plus b, and we know that as long as b is the only variable that we don't know, we can solve for it. So I'm going to take the value of the slope, which I solved for, which was 2, and plug it in. But now I need a value for the x and for the y. So I'm going to come to this point and I'm going to say, what is this point? Well, this point is 3, and it's up 1. So this is the point 3, 1. That means I have a value for x, and I have a value for y. So I'm going to plug my 3 in for my x, and I'm going to plug in my 1 for my y, and say plus b. And now I can solve for b. 1 is equal to 6 plus b, and in order to get my b alone, I have to add a -6 to both sides, so I get a -5 is equal to b. And so I actually solved for the same value that we plugged in up here already. We just did it in 2 different ways. Okay, so your job for this evening is to find the equation of the green line, the equation of the blue line, and the equation of the pink line. Okay, you can pause now, but I'm going to move the slide on to the next type of problem. Alright, on this page we have an equation of a line, and we need to be able to graph it. Okay, and so let's remind ourselves what we know. We know that this is an equation of a line in y equals mx plus b format. which means that my b is a -4 and my slope is a -1/2. Okay, and so I want to be able to graph this line. So first I'm going to draw a coordinate plane. Okay, and remember, our coordinate planes need the arrows on the ends of them, and we need to label our x and our y axis. Okay, and now we need to use our b, which is our intercept. It's the y-intercept. It's the spot on the y-axis where this line touches, and it touches at -4. So here's -4, and now I'm going to use my slope to create the line. So I'm going to say that my slope is negative, which means that my line is going to go down and to the right. So I need to climb 1 and go over 2 so my line goes down to the right. So I'm going to climb up 1 and go over 1, 2, and here's my point. And I'm going to keep going until I have a nice line. Okay, and I'm just going to get it to cross at the x-axis, and now I have this fabulous line, and I'm going to graph it. Okay, now the next thing that they teach us in our chapter is that we have to be able to take an equation in slope-intercept form, and we have to be able to convert it to standard form. And we've talked about standard form a little bit, but standard form has the equation ax plus by equals c, which means that the x and the y are on one side of the equal sign, and the constant is on the other side of the equal sign. So I want to take the equation I was given, y equals -1/2x minus 4, and I want to put it into standard form. So I want to move my x over to the left. So in order to move my x, I'm going to add 1/2 x to both sides. And I end up with 1/2 x plus y is equal to -4. Okay, so now it's in standard form, but there is a catch. And the catch is that the a and the b need to be whole numbers. Okay, so in order to make my a whole number, I need to multiply my whole equation by 2. And if I multiply it all by 2, I'm going to end up with a whole number on that as the a on that x. So 2 times 1/2 is 1. So I'm left with, whoops, let's erase that. I'm left with 2 times 1/2 is 1. So I'm left with 1x. And 2 times the 1, which is on the y, 2 times 1y is 2y. And 2 times a -4 is a -8. And so this is the same line. So this equation up here is this line. And this equation here is this line. But the first equation is in our slope-intercept form. And the equation that we just did is in what we call standard form. Okay? But they represent the same exact line. So we actually have 2 different forms right now that we can use to represent a line. So I'm going to turn the page, and we have another equation of a line, and this equation of the line is in slope-intercept form, and you need to do a couple things. One, you need to complete this chart. Okay, this is our x values. Oh, I probably put this in the wrong spot. This is our x values here, and this is where you're going to list your point after you've solved for it. Okay, so you need to use this equation. You need to do a few things. One, you need to come up with 3 solutions. That means 3 points on the line for this equation. You need to graph this linear equation, and you need to change it into standard form. Okay? So those are the things that I'm going to be looking for tomorrow. Okay? You can choose whichever values of x you would like, and you can graph it on your graph paper. Alright, this is the last one for tonight, but it's the word problem. And so gas is $3.95 per gallon. Draw a linear representation of cost per gallon. Make sure to include the cost if you purchase 6 gallons of gas. Explain what the y-intercept represents and what the slope represents. Write an equation of this relationship. Okay, so we're going to do this one together. So we're going to say, okay, let's start in the beginning. It's $3.95 per gallon. We're going to draw the linear relationship, but first we got to figure out what numbers we're putting on our chart. So make sure you include the cost of the purchase if you purchase 6 gallons of gas. So if you purchase 6 gallons of gas, how much do you pay? Well, $3.95 times 6. 9 times 6 is 54, plus 3 is 57, and 18 plus 5 is 23. So you would pay $23.70. Well, where does that information go? How does it fit on our, on our graph here? Well, we know that we were buying 6 gallons of gas, and the cost is $23.70. So that's our point. Our point is 6/23.70. So let's see if we can make that happen on here. There's 6, and so I'm going to go up by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So somewhere around here would be a point that would represent 6 gallons that cost $23.70. Okay? Now, we need another point. In order to make a line, we need a second point. So what might that second point be? Well, we could say if I bought 1 gallon of gas, how much would it be? It would be somewhere around $3.95. There's a point. That's another point we might know. Okay, we could do 3 gallons. We could also do 0 gallons. If I buy 0 gallons of gas, how much money do I pay? Well, I don't pay anything. I haven't bought anything. So that would be 0, 0. And now I can connect these dots and show a linear equation. Okay? So I've drawn my linear equation. I've included the cost for that 6 gallons of gas. But now I have to explain what the y-intercept represents. So this y-intercept is right here. Okay? It's 0, 0. What does it represent? Well, we should write something like the y-intercept is when I buy 0 gallons of gas, I pay $0. Okay, that's the y-intercept. Now, what's the slope? Okay, what does the slope represent? The slope is equal to what? How did we get from 0, 0 to 1,395 to 623.70? Well, what we did was we had to multiply the number of gallons by 395. So if we're multiplying the number of gallons by 395, that must be our slope. The difference between 0, 0 and 395 right here is a slope of 395. So slope is representing the cost per gallon. Which is 395 over 1. Okay? But we still have one more piece to do. We have to write the equation of the relationship. So what is the equation of this line? Okay? This line is y equals mx plus b. Well, what's our b? Our y-intercept was 0. Our slope was that 395 times the x equals y. Now, do I need to leave the 0 on there? No. So my real equation of this line is y equals 395x. And I can box my answer. Okay, that's it for tonight. Make sure you copy down all your notes. You've solved all of the problems all the way along, and I will see you tomorrow.